Commissioner Garcia,
Here.
Commissioner Morales, Commissioner Banda,
Here.
Commissioner Cortez, Commissioner Avellana, Commissioner Gonzalez.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Now we'd like, if you wish to make a general public comment or comment on a specific agenda item, you're encouraged to attend the Public Arts Commission meetings. They're quarterly. In person, you can attend. Also, you can email public comments. Any public comments received have been distributed to the Arts Commission and will be entered into the record. Cool. We are now open for public comments on items that are not on our agenda and that are in the City of Salinas subject matter jurisdiction. Comments in the agenda items should be held until the items are reached. Public comments are generally limited to 2 minutes. We may further limit the time for public comments depending on the agenda scheduled and the time we have. We will now receive, public comments, open for public comments. All right, that concludes public comments. Yeah, I'd like to invite people to join us for public comments whenever you get a chance. We like public comments and we enjoy hearing from our public. Thank you so much. We will now receive minutes from November 17th, 2025. Any comments from the commissioners? We're now open for public comments on this item. Any comments on Zoom? If there's any motion to approve the minutes of November 17th, 2025. Motion to approve? Aye. You have an aye. Second call here?
Second.
Second?
Second.
Okay. So I guess,
Just for clarification, Commissioner Banda, were you the second?
Yes.
And Commissioner Morales was the motion maker, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
cool. Now we're gonna call for the roll.
On the motion to approve the minutes of November 17, 2025, please respond yes or no. Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales, Commissioner Banda,
Yes.
Commissioner Cortez,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we're going to move on to considerations, and we'll be presenting the annual public art plan for the fiscal year of 2026 and 2027. The team has worked very hard on this, and we will now receive the report from Director Lindquist. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair and members of the commission. So I am pleased, we're jumping all over the place, to the first page.
An abstract presentation.
I'm pleased this evening to present a draft public art plan to you all in collaboration with our subcommittee members, and they can certainly chime in when we get to the end of the presentation if I missed something or if you'd like to add something as well. So in May of last year, this commission established a subcommittee to work on the annual plan, and the subcommittee members are Commissioner Gonzalez, Commissioner Cortez, and Commissioner Morales. Since that time, the subcommittee has met 5 times, and you can see the dates here where we met. And if you remember correctly, the goal of this subcommittee is to develop a public arts plan that makes funding recommendations for the use of the Municipal Art Fund to the City Council. And by ordinance, we have to present to the council by April 1 of every year. So during the subcommittee meetings, we considered a number of things. So as many of you may recall, we didn't have a lot of funding initially, right? It was based on the Municipal Art Fund is funded through capital improvement projects. And initially it was 0.5% of eligible projects. That took quite some time to build. About 2.5 years ago, we actually updated the ordinance to change it from 0.5% to 1 full percent. And the city council also authorized an annual general fund allocation of $100,000. So that has built, and our current balance is a little over $500,000 currently. And so really the committee wanted to talk about how much of that should we spend. We really wanted to make an impact, right? So we haven't done a lot of visible projects. We've done a lot to fund art events, but we haven't done a project per se. And so they really wanted to talk about how we could do something that is impactful for the entire for the entire city. So this year's plan, draft plan before you this evening, includes 4 components. One is to establish up to $20,000 to support murals or sculptures within the community. The next is to continue the cultural performing art events in Salinas that many of you are familiar with, and so to fund that up to $20,000 as well. $26,000 for the purchase, installation, and art associated with some really fun and incredible sustainable park benches that we'll talk a little bit about more. And then we have a great opportunity to bring an exhibit from Mexico, the Alebrijes y Nahuales exhibit, and other supporting activities. So we have a great opportunity to bring them here, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So again, the murals, we're looking for authorization not to exceed $20,000 for murals. We would have an RFP, RFQ process with a focus on local artists. That's something that this commission has talked a lot about. And so that would be something that's included in that process. And the committee talked a lot about needing to have or go through a process to access the spaces, right? And so really, the easiest thing to do is to utilize existing city facilities that we own that we can give the approval. Otherwise, you have to get approval from a private entity or a private owner, and that can be problematic, take time, and what have you. So we haven't determined the exact locations yet, but that's something that we talked a lot about. And because the Library and Community Services Department has a number of public facilities, we have some canvases that could be used.
And that's also for sculptures too.
Yes.
Correct. So the next is the public art event grant, and I apologize because I didn't get an updated presentation to Leslie before this came through. But just many of you are aware, we've been funding public art event grants now for about 4 years. Last year, the program funded 4 grantees. Those were Noche Bohemia, Artist Inc., Alisal Center for the Fine Arts, and Hijos del Sol as well. And this year, the committee is recommending $20,000 for event grants again.
Okay.
So I came across this really cool idea of these benches. They're called Noble Winds is the company, and they utilize wind turbines, the blades, to create these great benches that can be canvases for whether it's painting, for murals. You can do the vinyl wraps on them. You can do a lot of great things with them. And so the committee, we looked at these and we thought this would be a great opportunity to do something different for a park bench and create a public art opportunity in our parks as well. So this plan recommends up to $26,000 for the purchase, the installation, and then the art, because we would need to do a call for artists to make the selection, much like our mural or a sculpture. And then we would have those potentially up to 3 installed in a park or parks. So again, as I mentioned, this great opportunity, Commissioner Gonzalez and a number of other city representatives recently went to Mexico for a delegation. And I think some of you may have already been familiar with this exhibit, but from that visit to Mexico, there was really this, enhanced excitement around bringing this exhibit here to Salinas. And so the plan recommends up to $200,000. This would be a citywide exhibit. There's 8 large pieces. These are examples of those pieces. And this exhibit has been in San Francisco, it's been in Fresno, a number of other cities. And so we would look to install these sculptures at different locations within Salinas. But in addition to that, there could be a potential festival associated. There could be a number of art activities that all of our local art organizations would participate in.
Yes.
And then there's also 30 smaller pieces, which are like 8 of them would match the large scale pieces. But then there's up to 30 other ones that are small. And so there could be a collaboration with the National Steinbeck Center to house them there for a period of time. And this whole entire exhibit is on display for about a month, correct?
I think it's 6 weeks.
Okay, so a month to 6 weeks. So it really, I think, has the opportunity to have some big impact here.
So we have a potential of 8 sculptures, and we have, I want to say, 8 parks, or roughly throughout the city, they're going to be, each sculpture will be distributed, correct?
So they will be distributed throughout the city. We haven't identified the
Okay.
locations, and it may not all be parks. It could be in front of City Hall as an example. There could be one at the mall for an example. We haven't really gotten to that point yet. I think the initial plan is to get your recommendation to the city council, and then if the city council approves that, then we'll start those planning efforts to identify those locations. And we'll bring this information back to you as more information is available.
And a lot of it will be with the community in mind.
Yes.
Absolutely. And so just in terms of a timeline, so tonight, you are all receiving this information. We hope that you'll make a recommendation that can go forward to the city council on March 24th. Following that, we'll work to establish an agreement and the deposit for the Alebrijes exhibit. And then the funds will be available for the other components as of July 1st. Tonight, we're asking for a motion to receive the annual public art plan and recommend that the city council adopt the fiscal year 2026 public art plan, including the appropriation of up to $266,000 from the municipal art fund. And that concludes the presentation. Myself and the 3 subcommittee members are here to answer any questions that you may have.
I do have a question regarding the statue exhibit. So within the funds that you're looking for this, would that also include contingencies for upkeep or security or maintenance to them?
Sure, so that $200,000 includes a number of things. Just to bring the exhibit here, we're looking at between $75,000 and $90,000. Then into that, we'd also have to have some funding for outreach. The intent would be that there would be a committee that helps to do some fundraising. That way, we may not need to utilize all of the $200,000. The rest would then remain and go back to the municipal art fund.
Great, thank you.
We were also thinking of like they were saying, fundraising or partnerships that people would want to support to bring this here. But just putting that up front as like we're invested.
Right, thank you very much for the clarification. I appreciate it.
The public art event grants, those, what would disqualify me from being able to participate in one of those events? Is there anything specific, like me being associated with any group or organization?
So we have kept the process for applying for those grants and the selection separate from this committee as to not eliminate or not to create a conflict of interest. So as I mentioned, Artist Inc. was one of the recipients for this current, or for the last grant cycle. So we purposely keep that separate. You just say, yes, we want to have some public art grant funds available, and then we take it from there from a staff perspective.
I guess something that I'd like to add, if that's okay with you, is that we thought about including a component where we create sustainability, because one of the things that we didn't want is somebody to come take a grant and do like a one-time thing, you know, like a wham bam, thank you, ma'am, and then they're just kind of like, I did my pop-up or I did my thing. We're looking to find a way where we can ask questions that might inform us of their thoughts on sustainability and just consistency.
So really looking for programs that have longevity within the city to make sure that these grants are, like you said, just not just a one and done, but hopefully something that'll continue on or something that's been around for a while to keep it going. Great, thank you.
I'm just a little worried that the festival is gonna take a little bit more money, and it's okay, because, and I would okay it also, I wouldn't mind if it even went to like 275 if it had to, because there's gonna be cost of labor costs and other things that we have to take in consideration, just to make sure that this festival goes smooth. You know, this is our reputation for, you know, this is gonna be a pretty big festival. And you know, for it being not just a month, but 6 weeks, we also gotta take in consideration security and other things for those sculptures also too. I don't want them to get destroyed or other things like that too. 'Cause, you know, we have, you know, just gotta be careful. So, you know, if we have to, you know, that should be left out, you know.
So while we do have to present to the city council every year by April 1st, that
Yeah.
doesn't mean we can't come back again
Yes.
prior to next year. So right now, the only specifically identified cost that we have is to bring the artist and to get into agreement with him. So I would caution to do anything more than 200,000 until we have a documented need.
Okay.
Which we would work through a process once this is approved and a committee comes together. There's already been discussions with the Chamber of Commerce and others to help coordinate and collaborate on this project. And if there was a need, we could certainly come back in the future.
Yes, yeah. I just want to clarify, like, you know, I really want to see this event run smoothly.
I was thinking, as you were asking that question, another thought that came to mind is, as part of the fundraising efforts, we could also think about like merchandise. You know, this is an event that happens, well, it's going to be the first time it happens here, and I think it's going to be pretty big. So thinking of ways that we can create merchandise that, one, speaks about the city of Salinas, but also kind of showcases a little bit. And that might be a merchandising effort that we can partner with somebody. But just thoughts of that, I think.
I have more of a, it's not a question, but I do, since I was part of that delegation, I prepared this for you guys. And so Romain Greco is the executive director of the Cervantino Festival, one of Latin America's most prestigious and influential arts festival. At the meeting, Greco extended an invitation for Salinas to host Alegrifes and Nahuales, fantastic animals of the Mexico, and celebrated exhibition featuring 8 monumental sculptures created by masters from Oaxaca. The exhibition offers a striking visual experience while honoring the deep tradition of Mexican magical realism, created by several Mexican and indigenous artists. The pieces average 15 feet in height. These whimsical, larger-than-life sculptures are equipped with a strategically placed solar lighting, allowing their intricate craftsmanship to be appreciated both day and night. Alegrifes and Nahuales has toured internationally, appearing in major cities such as Paris, New York, and Chicago, and it has drawn significant public attention at every step. Notably, the exhibition attracted more than 2 million visitors during its 2025 installation at Yerbabuena Gardens in San Francisco. We will be honored to have them in Salinas.
Yes.
Yes.
So if there's no additional questions, we are looking for a motion to receive the annual public art plan and recommend that the city council adopt the fiscal year 2026 public art plan, including the appropriation of $266,000 from the municipal art fund.
I motion.
Okay?
Do I have to repeat it?
Yeah, I would repeat it.
A motion to receive the annual public art plan and recommend that the Salinas City Council adopt the fiscal year 2026 public art plan, including the appropriation of $266,000 from the municipal art fund. Second.
A second.
Aye. Also, aye.
Do we need a third?
I'm good,
Now
yeah.
we need to call for the roll.
So now we'll call for roll.
On the motion to receive the annual public art plan and recommend the Salinas City Council to adopt the fiscal year 2026 public art plan, including the appropriation of $266,000 from the municipal art fund, please respond yes or no. Commissioner Garcia?
Yes.
Commissioner Morales?
Yes.
Commissioner Banda?
Yes.
Commissioner Cortez?
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Yes.
Motion passed.
I'm so sorry, I didn't know if we opened the comments to the public. Was that not work?
Ready?
Is there any public comments on this? So sorry, we kind of jumped again. Cool. Okay, we're good. Thank you. And now we're going to move on to administrative reports. This is a public review draft of Vision of Salinas 2040 General Plan. I will now receive a report from Oscar Resendiz, Senior Planner. Sorry, I'm sorry if I murdered that. How do you pronounce that? Sorry. How do you pronounce your last name? Resendiz.
Person Cortez and fellow commissioners, as well as members of the public. As mentioned, my name is Oscar Resendiz, Senior Planner with Advanced Planning and Project Implementation within the Community Development Department. I'm here to present an administrative report regarding our public review draft Vision Salinas 2040 of the general plan that is currently out for public comment. The first comprehensive general plan update since 2002. The general plan is the guiding policy document that sets the vision for the city for its future development. What does the city want to be in the future? When you think about that, that is what the general plan aims to answer. It also has several elements that comply with state law that have changed since 2002. It's been a while. And this update includes elevating priorities that have been identified by recent planning efforts, such as the Alisal Vibrancy Plan, the Chinatown Revitalization Plan, or the 2017 Economic Development element. Those have all happened since the last general plan update in 2002. Update includes priorities and strategies that were developed for those plans. It also includes the city first climate action plan and environmental justice element, neither of which had been envisioned in 2002. Another example of how things have changed, the general plan chapters or elements, the technical use term, that cover things such as housing, traffic and transportation, economic development, parks and open space, public safety, noise, and environmental justice as seen in the graphic image there. As mentioned, this builds off of previous planning efforts. So Vision Salinas 2040 establishes core values that will be used as guiding principles for its development, including those listed on the screen, so that it's more inclusive, diverse, and it's a welcoming city where all persons can thrive with good economic prosperity, housing for all, health and safety, a safe city, recognizing the importance of our youth, making sure it was written in a collaborative and inclusive way that engage the community, and at the end of it, the general plan supports a livable and sustainable community that would improve connectivity, access, and mobility for everyone. And as a result, we can continue to pursue a city that is celebrated by the community and a great place to visit, live, and work. Those are the goals and principles for the general plan update. Here are just, as mentioned, the different plans that have helped us shape this general plan update. Some of them, the economic development element, LSL vibrancy plan, the Parks and Rec and Library plan, as well as the downtown vibrancy plan, Chinatown. Here's additional ones also. Salinas Visión Cero action plan, Safe Routes to School, just to name a few. So to date, so far, there have been over 23 workshops and webinars with 8 working groups and 16 steering committee meetings, which the steering committee members were composed of citizen appointments that have helped develop the new chapters and content and goals. We did pop-ups with folks that might not normally attend a meeting, for example, at their place work, at events, at shops like panaderias at 5 a.m. To get those rushing to get to work. We also contracted with community-based organizations to help us go into places where the community felt safe, like their homes. That was a great tool because it broadened our engagement efforts and helped us make sure we try to get every single resident within the city. Here it says, we did bilingual, but in reality it was multilingual. With the help of our community orgs, not only was it Spanish and English, but also our indigenous language that we have within the city. So that led us to a list of city goals, policies, and actions that were identified from the community engagement that we did, which then they were funneled into more specific text and language and goals that ultimately will lead into development requirements for the land use regulations that are in the general plan, which then will lead into a zoning code update. And the city has already started its zoning code update. Back in June of last year, we started that complementary process to the general plan. Once this general plan is updated, the zoning code is updated, and we already began that process. And so the idea is that you go from a thought or a plan, as seen in the blueprints, for a library or an affordable housing project. And so with the general plan, you pursue policy, goals, and actions, and eventually end up with a new library in North Salinas, like El Gavilan Library, or an affordable housing project like in Chinatown. That all started with the vision from the community. Changes in the general plan is reorganizing of the general plan and the new elements, as well as aligning with the community needs that have been explained throughout this presentation with the previous plans efforts that we have already done in collaboration with different divisions, different departments, and the community. Land use classification system will be changed to place types. Most of you might know it. For example, residential RM 5.5 low density, single family houses, medium density or high density, into mixed use type place types, which would allow for mixed uses, opportunities for more housing. And then the housing implemented throughout the general plan. The housing element was updated and adopted in 2023 by state law. So that chapter or element is already done. And the key focus in transportation, in 2002, it was an era of reducing congestion based on service analysis, so more lanes and wider lanes. And now we are thinking at it more comprehensive and holistic, including sidewalk, closing the sidewalk gaps, building out our bicycle and train path network, and streamlining efficiency within the existing roadwork infrastructure through technology, but also through examples like the roundabouts on Baranda Road, and then making sure that the city is adaptable and resilient in the face of our changing climate. Our general plan update has been structured by a theme. To review the document, you will see 3 different pillars: built environment pillar, which has land use element, housing element, circulation element, noise element, as well as the community design element. Our environmental and sustainability pillar, which has conservation and environmental safety element, open space element, and our socio-economic system pillar, which has health and environmental justice element, public safety element, economic development element, and our arts, culture, and youth element, which includes this commission. Each element is structured the same way, so it's like a reading guide. Intro, a review of the assets and challenges, what the community has identified for its goals and policies to move things forward, and then how all those ideas will be moved forward with implementation with the course of the general plan update from now until 2040. So each chapter element is written in that structure, and you have it here in front of you all. And now, what pertains into this commission, which is the arts, culture, and youth element, we have a goal and a policy and then actions. Goal number 2, promote public art, culture, and creative expressions in a manner that fosters community pride. With a policy 2.1, support local artists and community groups in the development and maintenance of public art projects and events. With actions, as you can see here, to offer training opportunities and capacity building to our local artists, provide resources such as workspace and funding to allow artists to showcase their art, work with local artists, public art commissions like you guys, and art interest groups to expand and maintain murals and public art throughout the city. Encourage partnerships with art organizations and local schools to create a programming for local artists to expand mediums and gain a competitive edge. With public and private agencies, organizations to facilitate projects and work with interest parties on their development. Work with community partners to expand community schools, culture, and arts curriculum. Support local community groups in the development and execution of cultural responsive community activities, events with in-kind service, and a streamlined permitting process to help all. There's also policy 2.2, which promotes and preserves pluralistic cultural art, identity, and history of Salinas, unique to neighborhoods throughout context and place-sensitive design. Establishes art and culture districts throughout the city with exploring digital options as well as static mediums, QR codes, and infoplex on existing public art to create interactive mapping, showcase public art. Those are images of art that's our courthouse, and you can see at the bench there's a QR code which would give information regarding that art and let our community know more about that art there. So this draft was released right before Christmas on December 17, so it's been out there for a while. Includes all chapters by state law, plus some additional chapters that are optional, and they're all listed on that link there. And we also have a dedicated email for any comments. We encourage you all to take a look at that, provide comments, if not from all the general plan, at least from the arts chapter, which you are all experts. We're still working on 3 parts of the general plan. Chapters which are working on our economic development chapter with a group of stakeholders. We're currently working with them. The climate action plan that is currently being edited, and we have full final draft, and the same thing for the environmental impact report. We're just editing, but we do have final drafts. The environmental impact report is required by the California Environmental Quality Act for a document of this size and its current nature. Both of those are being finalized, and we look forward to releasing them in the spring with the revised general plan from the chapters presented here or that are listed in that link with the comments from the community. With that, here's our timeline for this 2026. We are currently in quarter 1. Drafting, we'll continue to draft plan workshops, continue to engage. I also will invite you all to attend our open house forum that we're gonna have Saturday, March 7th, from 9 a.m. to 12 at Steinbach Center, there in downtown. So if you're available, please join us. Please invite anyone that will be interested in participating and providing comments or hearing more about it. This quarter also, we're, like I said, doing revisions to this draft plan. For quarter 2, we plan on releasing the draft environmental impact report, the climate action plan, and the revised general plan, which is currently in circulation, for a period of 45 days for additional comments. We'll have study sessions on the EIR, the CAP, and the revised general plan. And we'll start revision period. And we'll hopefully complete phase 1 of the zoning code amendments that will comply with state law that currently is out there. We hope to complete that by June of 2026. Within quarter 3, we will publish the revised general plan, the climate action plan, and the environmental impact review, as well as start the approval process with all the different commissions and council. Quarter 4, we hope to have completed the process, but if necessary, we'll continue to go into those different commissions. And then start focus on phase 2 of the zoning code. So that's our timeline for this 2026. With that, this presentation concludes. I'm here to answer any questions you guys might have or guide you to where we have this draft. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I have I guess my, I don't know if it's a question, but it's more like, I guess I'm kind of interested in the collaborative, inclusive, and engagement and decision-making. And I wanted to know if there's like a certain rubric that you're following or a certain guideline just to help you really identify if what you're doing has like the full community engagement, or what is the way that you're measuring your community engagement and decision-making.
Let me go back. This, we don't have a rubric, correct? We tried, as mentioned here, try to reach as many residents, stakeholders as possible. We did workshops. We've gone, to the ag fields to try to get the community feedback from people that might not normally attend community meetings. I've gone to, like I said, coffee shops. We went to the panaderias in the morning to get the feedback from also those individuals that go there in the morning to get their bread and their coffee. We've had group meetings, and we continue to have those meetings. We're right now going through all the commissions to do presentations, to ask for your feedback. We have it out there. Right now is the time for you all to review and provide any feedback anywhere where you think we're missing the point or that needs to be edited, added. Like I said, we have this open forum house on March 7th. It's a Saturday, 9 a.m. to 12 for also that opportunity to provide more feedback. Anything that we've missed, we encourage yourselves to, again, send us an email through the email listed there. If you feel like a meeting, include that in that comment. We have our staff, myself, my colleague, Senior Planner Jonathan Moore, my manager, Grant. I'm sure we could also get our director, Lisa Brinton, if needed, for a meeting. We want to be transparent and open to any opportunity we can get from the community, because that's what we need. We need the residents to provide that feedback. And as far as I know, we've tried every aspect we can, like I said, going out to their employment places.
That sounds, it sounds like you're doing a great amount of outreach. And as far as community engagement, I have a really cool rubric that was created by a local community activist and community advocate. Her name is Rosa Juarez, and there's another last name too. I just can't think of it off the top of my head. But I have this rubric, and I'd be willing to share it with you, because outreach is a great part of community engagement. But I think it's also providing venues where the community can also provide their own solutions. So like, it's great that we're communicating to them and like these great committees, but also like seeing how much we're letting them kind of like really communicate the solutions that they might have in mind. And I have a rubric that I can share with y'all, but it looks really great as far as outreach hitting like different languages. But there's also, for me, there's like a big part of like engaging the community into really identifying the problems, but also giving us some of their solution and then providing them support. Like those are great solutions that you have, community. These are the resources that I can provide for you to take action in creating those solutions. And that's kind of like more of the community engagement that I look for. And this is great. This is a great points that you're taking, but just providing a little bit more of that, and I'll share that rubric. But yeah, that's more kind of what I was looking for, but thank you so much.
Yeah, please share it, send it to that email, and we definitely will review and take action on that. Thanks.
Yes, I have a few comments and feedback. I think that, I love this engagement that you're already making, but I also think that in order to move forward like to 2040, like further, it seems like a long time. I also think that there should be inclusion of youth who are already engaged in environmental justice. So inviting high schools that already have clubs that can visit the Ensign Park and see how the efforts of taking care of native plants could have a bigger impact. Because I think I teach at Harnell for 9 years, and I work with different ages in high school and young college students. And what they're missing is the practice, the hands-on, and I think that it could be a big impact if the city and this plan includes really making collaborations with high schools and Harnell College, because I think the young people need to know what's at stake when it comes to the environmental justice and how to do it and where to do it. I also, Urban Arts Collaborative is housed at the Mungay Plaza since 2021. And I believe there was a split, like a big base at the very corner of East Lake and Soledad. And that was particularly built to put a $80,000, $90,000 sculpture that it was never put because there was a lot of concerns around vandalism and things like that. So in order to move forward, we need to educate people of what are these pieces mean. And what comes to my mind is we have the big piece of Klaus Oldenburg, who created the three hats of landing, who not a lot of people know that we have a famous part here in Salinas. And I think that we can make more efforts to make that inventory that there's already pieces here in Salinas that need more attention. And I think that's, like you use what we already have. Also, Harnell College has a welding class. And I think, there's art there are many different forms, and subjects, and I think in Salinas could benefit from sculptures, murals and sculptures and everything else, but also sculptures. So I know Harnell has that class in particular, and also the new gallery. So they have a new gallery where works can be exposed there. Also, Urban Arts Collaborative is a gallery studio, so it is open during the summers, like almost every season, to do displays. And I think that being there at the Chinatown community, it is beyond homelessness. It is mental health and substance abuse. So I think that I want to pay attention that it's a nice place. It has the Japanese temple and the Chinese Confucius temple and the Filipino churches and everything. And it could be a walk through the city. And I think a lot of my students that go through Urban Arts Collaborative, they say, why isn't there like a bridge, that we can just cross, from downtown, because the bus is right there and it just takes like 5 minutes really to get into Chinatown. And also, I also feel like, in my experience, I'm from Salinas, so I know a lot about the art community. And I think for me, it's more about creating opportunities, not specifically for the organization that I represent, but really for everyone. And I think that I see that the city tends to have access to other grants that we, in particular, the commissioners do not know after the fact. And I think there should be a collaborative effort where all of the organizations are invited and they can either participate or not to participate, but I see that like very often, and I think that's a huge gap. We're not unifying people, we are making people to fight for the grants, and which is usually happens all over Monterey County. And I think that creates more collaborative efforts and it does create equity among all of the artists, even artists who are not part of any organization. So, and thank you for your presentation.
Thanks for the comments.
And for my comments, I just want to, I've noticed that we have inclusion and bilingual, which is great. I just want to see more inclusion with other cultures also. I mean, we have a thriving Hindu and Arabic communities also too, and I would love to see their arts and culture be included also, where they can have, access as well to, public arts and entertainment and such. This is, we're looking at 14 years down the road from now, and I want to see my city be a melting pot, and that's what I truly want to see is inclusion. So if we can reach out to not just, the, Hispanic communities and such, but to other communities as well, just so we can, be finally a city of, of inclusion. Thank you.
I have a question. Sorry.
I mean, I don't have any questions at all. I think it was a great presentation, so I think everybody's asked some of the questions that are on my mind, so thank you.
Thanks.
I had one, but I'm going to defer it. No, it's okay. 2040, that sounds like forever from now. But
Sounds like Star Trek.
yeah, I was like, 2040, it's crazy
And
time.
we're down the
I
road.
was doing the math, like, how old will I be? 54?
Yeah.
My question.
Thank you for your time.
Sorry. Yeah, so I had one more question, sorry. How would you, and this goes with economic prosperity, I think the more we provide these opportunities for local artists, the money stays within our community, and that's a big component of economic prosperity, and also equity and diversity altogether. But I was just thinking, is there any component in which Salinas-based artists are going to be prioritized? Not necessarily that it's limited or exclusive to them, but would there be a component where Salinas artists will be prioritized in some of these art pieces that might happen?
Yeah, I think to try to answer that question in terms of the different art projects that I've been involved, including the underpass murals, which we learned a lot from that. We do try to give, we have a scoring rubric, we release an RFP, request for proposals. Unfortunately, we can't restrict it just to Salinas base or the county or the tri-county. We have to be equitable when we talk about that in just general with our artists. We know for 100%, and you guys know it more, we have a lot of talent here in Salinas, super talented artists here. What we're trying to do with that is, in the rubric that we have, is give extra points for our local artists, hoping that helps, But again, we have to be fair on all levels for all artists. I've said it in different presentations and talking to people. I know it's tough from talking to certain artists when they go into other communities, because every community, I think, has a good amount of local artists. But I've always said it, I want to go to a different city, a different state, and be like, wow, that mural, and then realize, oh, it's a artist from Salinas, where I'm living at, where my kids were born, because I wasn't raised here. So yeah, with that trend in mind, we try, again, to be fair with everyone that submits projects. We do give extra points for our local artists. There's a form that they submit, and bets that they're from Salinas. But yeah, and hopefully that answers your question. I think from every project, there's a learning factor. We did learn a lot from the underpass. And for that, we did, if you guys weren't familiar, we do have a set of money that will help any local artists with, the licensing that is required to be able to put a mural, any requirements, and then whether it's myself or any of my colleagues that are working on the projects, we're always open to emails, phone calls, in-person meetings to discuss the project, to help them out, to be able to be competitive with those other artists from outside the area that might have more experience in bigger projects. With that being said, we do have a RFP currently for the roundabout monument that's tied to the Clean California Local Beautification Grant. It's on Planet Bids. I can share my information if you guys have
I didn't
questions.
know that, yeah.
In my email address, it's just oscar.resendiz@salinas.gov. My colleague, Michelle Mori, and hopefully I'm saying her last name correct, Mari, is who's going to be leading that project, and I could connect you with her. And like I said, we could gladly meet with you guys, any other artists, and opening to anybody that's listening to help you guys submit a proposal.
I think that's great. Yeah, and I understand as far as equity, like we have to keep it open, and there's no way to prioritize Salinas artists. I think something to keep in mind, and maybe a suggestion would be to keep the same thing like you're doing 23 workshops and the webinars, but that now focused to the artists in the community. So maybe we can't prioritize them, but we can do the same amount of outreach. Like maybe your organization or group visits all the local arts organization and says, hey, when would be a great time to present to your staff, a lot of the staff in arts organizations or artists themselves, and just kind of reaching out in that sense where like people are really informed. I think sometimes emails get lost in the email traffic, and so if there's a way to do like substantial outreach to arts organizations, that might also help too. But I totally understand that it has to be open and equitable to everybody.
Yeah, definitely. And just a little bit more to, I guess, sidetracking a little bit with that RFP that's open. It's part of, like I said, the Clean California Local Beautification Grant that we got through Caltrans a few years back. We're in the end of it. We are in the process of selecting 4 local artists for the mural that's going to go in the boxing gym. The finalists were selected back in the summer of last year, but with all the revamp of the Gloucester Park and dust flying everywhere, it wasn't ideal to paint a mural. So we're waiting. We're going to release that survey for our community, so stay tuned, selecting the artists. We don't want to select it. We want the community. As well as a monument sculpture that's going to go there. And then we do have the third art project within this grant is the RFP for the monument going on the roundabout on Skyway in Alizal. So that's out already through our webpage. You could go to our webpage and there's a link, our city webpage. And again, with my email address, please send me an email and we could try to set up as soon as possible a meeting to give more information or share at least. We did do a webinar for the other 2 projects last year when we released them on how to submit proposals through the Planet Bids portal, which is a similar way to submit this time. So we could send that also so you guys get acquainted or familiar with how to submit.
Yeah, and then if there's an opportunity for outreach to hit up some of these local organizations in person and just maybe talk to some people there, I think that would help too. I know there's a lot of artists, but sometimes in the hustle and bustle of like dropping off the kids, going to work, working on my art projects and commissions, like we miss things. And I myself too, I try to put it out as much as possible. But yeah, thank you so much.
Yes.
And sorry, go ahead. No, I was just going to say this was an administrative report, so if there's no other questions, but I'll let you continue, Christine.
Thank you. That's what I was going to say. There's no action on this item today. So thank you to our great community development team that's here tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're gonna go ahead and ask about, we're gonna get into commissioners' reports. Is there anything that any of the commissioners want to report or share with the community?
I do. Every year during the month of April, at the end of April, we celebrate the Asian Cultural Experience in Chinatown. And there is a big community, like I think Commissioner Morales, you mentioned about the diversity of the city. That is one event that I encourage you to go personally, as a resident of Salinas, because there's a lot of community from the Filipino and Japanese and Chinese, and I speak to them regularly, and they are very concerned that a lot of the elders are not going to be here, and they want to pass on, they want to continue the programs, they want to continue the Japanese temple. And I don't see it as separate from our culture. I see them as part of our culture because they were here like the Mexican braceros. And I want to invite you. Urban Arts Collaborative is participating since we've been housed there, and we do live art. But I think any artist, any organization can contact the Asian Cultural Experience, which is they are the people that are going to have like coordination, and we are blessed to receive a small grant, like the beautification grant from the city for this year. And we're going to utilize some of those funds to create stipends from some of the artists that are going to be doing live art on the street. And also, of course, the Alegrifes, the Alegrifes and Nahuales, like I want to thank you all for the support. I think it can show the city that we are together and that we can create something big for Salinas. Salinas, the entertainment industry and the art entertainment industry are the largest in the Monterey County. And I think Salinas is missing out. So please do participate. Thank you.
Yes. I just wanted, I would like what JC had stated with the Asian community. It's a great opportunity for us to collaborate and attend these meetings or events. Unity in the community is what we truly, truly need. And I would love to see a lot more events happening as we progress. I was talking with Mayor Donahue about 2 weeks ago in regards to getting more events, and I'm glad that the cities we're finally being able to host things, and with our Alegrisos event, this is going to be phenomenal. So, and then even with our park benches, I'm very excited for those. This is going to be something that the city actually deserves. We need beautification of our city, and that's key that right now that we're moving forward with this, and just want to thank everybody for that. So thank you.
Nothing on my end.
It just sounds like we're finally having some traction, which just sounds good. Great job, everybody.
I'd like to continue on the thing about public events and the fact that we did bring this Alebrijes show. Juan Carlos really brought it forth, and I'm glad you were able to identify it and bring it forth. But also continuing on that, I think one sad news that I have is that one of the local music venues that was a pretty big music venue in my eyes, because there's very limited amount of venues in Salinas, California for music, is closing down, Heirloom Pizza, and they provided a great venue for musical acts. One thing that I think we sometimes neglect and forget is that Salinas is home to a lot of great musicians, writers, historical musicians like Larry Hosford, and there's a lot of great writers that have written and have been Grammy nominated. And I think there's also up and coming artists like myself and other artists in the community. And I think it's a really sad thing that happens when a venue closes down. I think it was a great venue, and venues of that capacity are a great spot to bring big acts. And when we bring big acts, it helps us local artists kind of get into the playing game and into the field. So it just opens up a lane for us. And now that it's closed down, it's kind of hard, and we have to travel elsewhere. But there was a lot of love in this community for music, and most of the shows that I performed in and that others performed in were at a capacity of 250 to 150, and I think that's big. That's big for Salinas. And we had some really big acts, and I think a lot of local promoters are going to have a hard time kind of adapting, but the more we can support that, like the community events that we have, but I think also thinking about venues, if there's people out there that own property or are thinking about venues, like, yeah, if there's opportunity for investment in that, I think it's a great spot. Like Juan Carlos said, there's a big market for entertainment and arts here in Salinas, and so we should invest in it. But yeah, sad news that a big venue, Heirloom Pizza, has shut down, and hopefully we get more venues in support of the community and landowners to maybe open that up for people who want to go in that type of business.
You know, Carlos, that's really sad that we lost a venue like that, you know, because I myself, I have to drive to Moe's Alley to enjoy a concert. And, you know, when I was at Moe's Alley 2 weekends ago, it was kind of a little calm, and that was actually, it coincided with first week over here, you know, that we have our events. And it would have been a greater opportunity for us to be over here and instead of at Moe's Alley. And that's where we're, you know, fumbling the ball with that. And hopefully investors and landowners, like you said, if we have some investment, all it takes is, you know, a property and a venue, and we just need a stage, and, you know, the rest, let the magic happen by itself. But that's where the artists make the magic happen. And it's really sad that we're going to lose Heirloom Pizza. But another one too is I just want to commend Radio Bilingüe, 90.9 KHDC. They serve huge, they're very impactful in our community, and we need to start supporting our radio stations and other local artists, you know, to have them have their platform. You know, radio is still alive, and we got to keep it alive. And I just want to give a huge thank you to DJ Big D from 90.9 KHDC. He's the longest running oldies show in history. He's actually beat Art LeBeau. So, you know, wow. Yeah. So we have the longest running oldies, station and show, you know, since 1986, and that's a feat that Salinas, has. So just want to thank you, Big D.
Well, I'd like to pass it out to the director's report.
Thank you. Mine will be really short this evening. I do want to thank Monica Sardina, who is our community service manager, who helped facilitate the public art event grant process. She'll be helping me with implementation of the plan that council adopts after this evening's meeting. So I want to thank her for that, and you will see her at future meetings. Yeah. That concludes my report.
All right. Lastly, we're going to do the confirmation of attendance. Leslie, if you could confirm the attendance for the following meeting.
The next regular meeting of the Public Art Commission is scheduled for Monday, May 18 at 6 p.m. At this time, I will call the roll. Please respond yes if you plan to attend this meeting, or no if you will be unable to attend. Commissioner Garcia.
Yes.
Commissioner Morales.
Yes.
Commissioner Banda.
Yes.
Commissioner Cortez.
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Yes.
Thank you.
I guess that's we are adjourned. This meeting is adjourned at 7:04. Thank you, all the commissioners, and
Thank you,
everybody
everybody.
else for attending.